talk about some of the efforts that we're doing at the National Fisheries Institute to communicate how to eat more fish, which is a really important part of the equation.
Now, as a registered dietitian and someone closely involved with seafood, you're looking all the time, aren't you, at helping to encourage people to eat more seafood?
Absolutely. There's all sorts of reasons why people should be eating more fish. And we do work quite a bit to teach people those reasons, really from head to toe, from baby to adulthood. But what's really important is teaching people how to eat more fish. So once that message of why eating more fish has come through clearly, now people need to know how.
And how do you go about getting that message out there?
Well, just like the benefits of seafood stretch from the time you're in your mother's womb all the way to older age, we think it's important to start teaching people to like seafood from the very beginning. And that actually starts as early as when you're in the womb, your mom eating seafood and some of those tastes transfer. And then, of course, as soon as you start eating solids, fish should be in there right away. And through your toddler and school age years, there's a lot of things you can do to get kids eating fish that some people might know of. So, for example, one is instead of asking your kids, do you think you're going to like this fish, get your kids excited about it. Just serve it and say, doesn't this look good? You know, mommy loves this, daddy loves this, so that they see that as a positive role model and they don't really have much of a choice. Kind of along the same lines, it's important for parents to eat the same foods generally as their kids do. So no short order cook stuff, just serving one meal. If mom and dad are eating fish, the kids eat it too, so that they can recognize that's going to be a part of their diet.
And do you find that youngsters and families have been responsive to this?
I think so. I think that people are interested in getting their kids eating a wider variety of foods from a younger age, because it's not just a nutrition thing. It also makes parents' lives easier because their kids are less picky eaters. And so they can take them to any restaurant because they've been exposed to a variety of foods from a young age. And they can take them over to their friend's house for dinner and they're going to eat what they're served because they don't have just 3 or 4 foods that they're used to. They're not only open to trying, they're not only used to trying a variety of foods, but they're open to that because that's how it is in their house.
And what do you find are the inhibitions to eating more seafood? The things that are preventing people eating as much seafood perhaps as they should?
Yeah, I mean, the number one barrier that we see is taste. And that really needs to be addressed early on. And so we have kids who are really growing up in households where there isn't seafood, and it is a little more difficult to expect them than later in life to have an acquired taste for fish. So again, it comes back to this good exposure at a young age. There's other barriers too. Preparation is one. And so we have tools on our website to teach people how to buy, store, and cook seafood. And it's really actually incredibly easy. It's one of the simplest foods to prepare that there is and one of the fastest.
And you've got recipes on the website as well, obviously?
Yes, we do. We have a recipe database, and then we always have new recipes coming in on my blog, which is Blog About Seafood. And not only are there recipes on there, but there's pictures of the recipes that I cooked myself. So these are tested recipes.
And is it the experience that people, when they're buying seafood, are perhaps a little uncertain about how to cook it and not wanting to spoil it, and therefore the recipes give them some assistance?
Yeah, I think that people are hesitant with seafood, especially if they did grow up in a family where they didn't eat it, and this is a new thing for them. So the recipes and seeing them cooked by somebody else who they've gotten to know a little bit through the blog is reassuring that they can do it too. Because I'm not a chef, and so I have really no more skill set going into them other than a little bit more experience.
And how are you enjoying your role as a dietitian who's particularly involved in seafood?
I love it. I mean, it's a huge challenge. I really do think that if I had to list 3 things that people could do to live healthier, incorporating seafood more regularly into the diet is absolutely one of them. It is such an easy and also a pleasurable thing to do, and it has such a major impact on so many health outcomes.
How can people incorporate seafood into their diet several times a week?
Seafood is more than just a fillet of fish on the center of the plate. You can also incorporate it as, an appetizer, so shrimp bruschetta, or on pizza, or in tacos or quesadillas, or in a soup. And so on our website and on the internet in general, there's all sorts of ideas kind of just to think outside the box. And that's how you're really going to get seafood incorporated several times a week into your diet, versus just the maybe one that most people get. Something else that I encourage people to do is to try substituting seafood for another protein in recipes that you're already familiar with. So it makes the experience more comfortable because you're working off of a recipe that is a little bit tried and true. So for example, barramundi piccata instead of chicken piccata. Or an example given was some kind of a seafood spaghetti with red sauce instead of meat, or a fish burger instead of ground beef. So that's another way to incorporate seafood more frequently into your diet. Pick My Fish is a mobile-friendly tool to help people select types of seafood that they're going to like the taste and flavor of, and texture. So you simply just go to pickmyfish.com and input some of your preferences, and then it'll generate back some species of fish that you're likely to like the taste of.